That stuff is flat.
Post production edit. I want to ask you guys, the flat earthers, did you notice that in Flatzoid's video responding to the video I did on the ledge, did you notice he didn't mention optical drop? Kind of weird, right? He made no mention of occultation actually doing anything. It didn't do any of the things. He didn't actually address the fact that you guys saw none of that.
Okay, in the previous picture I showed you how it was rising relative to eye level. Now I'm showing you how it's sinking relative to eye level. You see the convergence? The top line is the much larger field of view taken from the car. Then it gets smaller in the distance and it seems to be sinking. Now you're seeing as something changes in its angular size, it's not just how you would see it as what you call two-dimensional. It actually has a width to it. It is elevation dependent and it is distance dependent. The whole thing itself gets smaller. Now the problem you seem to have is you forget that surface it's on would have a larger angle closer to the observer than the furthest part of it, because that floor is also going and changing angular size with distance. That's why it gives the appearance of rising to eye level. Okay? Just perspective alone debunks your globe, because you guys need things to go downwards, not bulge upwards. So I will post a question to you that SE Montreal likes asking. Shout out SE. Is your curve a hump or a drop? Maybe sit back and think of that for a while. Is your earth curve hump or drop? And is it still physical? Or is it just optical, as it's been demonstrated throughout all Bearded Devil's demonstrations? Well, I don't think I need to be more clear on what he's showing. This picture demonstrates it rising relative to eye level, and it's demonstrated sinking downwards. So optical drop confirmed, limited angle due to him reaching the slope on this one. If it was on an actual level horizontal surface with no slope, the distance would just have to be pushed out much further for the effect to take part into effect. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the ramblings of a glober. Thank you. God bless, and enjoy living on the stationary horizontal plane.
Right? You didn't see optical drop. You didn't see any of the vehicle become occulted.
Any of the vehicle become occulted? Did you notice he didn't mention optical drop? He didn't actually address the fact that you guys saw none of that.
Something to think about.
Yes, definitely something to think about why you are lying to your audience. Well, you are keeping your name, Bearded Devil, very true. Thanks, Guy.
How you doing, guys? I'm the Bearded Devil. Welcome to my channel. Okay, so pardon the camera work, but this is the only way I can actually kind of display all this, because I don't have a second tripod and I don't have a second camera with me. So, here we are. Alright, what I did was, at each interval, I traced out the angles. Okay? And all it is, see, they all converge right about there. Now, this represents just a simple point in space, and it also coincides where the camera was. Alright? Downrange, you can see where the little truck is. Okay? And at each point is a set of 4 lines. The edge of the ledge, and 2 lines representing the width of the little truck, and 1 line representing the top. Okay? Roughly, if you can get in there, right about there. Right? Okay. Now, I did the same thing at each interval, but obviously left the the strings going all the way to that point to which they converge. Alright? It just, they keep, each one. They all intersect right here. Okay? And these angles would still exist. You can see they still exist even without the truck being there. Right? That didn't stop them from existing. That's where they are at that point. Okay? This is a function of 3D space. Right? Now, Flatzoid more or less kind of showed one snippet from a couple of series of images that I took a while back that I had on Discord. I actually linked them in my previous video. And it more or less shows you this right here. Alright? Just remember, like you can see where my hand intersects, right there. Ah, no, I messed it up completely. That's the downside of using a cheap tripod. It doesn't have a whole lot of muscle power, as it were, so the lines kind of tug on it. So forgive me, I'm not perfect. But anyway, the idea is that if we do all this, we're going to line this up a little bit. Alright, just a skosh. Let's see if we can get this all proper. Like now, if you follow where these lines end up, and I may have to adjust this real quick because it seems to have moved us a little bit too far up. But all right, the idea, of course, being that they all roughly line up. Anyway, ideally, but you can trace these lines if you wanted to sit there and do the same thing using my footage. Go right ahead, right? Flatzoid did a half-assed job in which he kind of, well, he wanted to say that there was some kind of elevation change. The reality is there's no actual elevation change. Again, that's just the mental wanderings of a two-dimensional thinker, right? It doesn't actually slope upwards, right? The ledge itself doesn't slope upwards. The vehicle itself didn't slope upwards. In fact, the roof stayed where it was. There's no rise in elevation like he claimed. Remember, in the video, I talked about how, to a 2D thinker, that bottom, the wheels, would appear to go up. They don't. It's just that the angular size changes. Alright? That's all there is to it. And this is because of this. By the way, this property of 3D space is how we're able to have perspective, how we're able to view things in perspective. This isn't optical. That's why I think, obviously it's not optical. I'm showing you with physical objects, you know, all of the things that I was talking about. The string is physical. Obviously the car is physical. I'm able to demonstrate that it's just a physical property of three-dimensional space. That's it. It's not imaginary. It's not optical. It's not an illusion. Right? All of the angles that happen, these are all lines that emanate from a singular point in space. Right? That's all it is. In a 360-degree sphere, if you want. I know that you guys don't like the term sphere for some strange reason. I guess it's some weird fucking problem. But how else do you describe something that's 360 degrees in every conceivable direction? Not just up and down, not just sideways, but everything in between. Right? And these lines, if I had a sturdier tripod and enough string, I could essentially mark out every conceivable angle that you could see within the visual field of this camera, right? Well, but you would not be able to see anything because of all the fucking string. But nonetheless, these lines just keep going on the way they're going to go forever, all right? It's just 3 dimensions. This is what happens. How much more do I have to show you, right? None of these angles, because remember, all the angles, they're here, they start here, all of them, right? They all have a starting point, at least from the viewpoint of, they start at this point, or intersect at the point, however you want to describe it, but they all are here, right? This is the point at which they go outward, right? In every conceivable direction, in almost every infinite you can think of. So, they're not, this is why I'm telling you, at any scale. If I had a really small truck, and it corresponded with these angles, right? If I were to put it roughly there, right? The same thing would happen. The angles themselves would still exist. They would just be closer. The closer you are, the more tighter they are, that's really it. So, and then from that point, they spread outward. You know? That's what I was telling you, at any scale, this works, because it all emanates from a single point in 3D space. You know, these lines, if you were to trace them, they would just go on forever in either direction. This just happens to be the point where they all meet. I can't stress this enough. Okay? There is no limited angle. This right here, the fact that the ledge exists, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the car's not there, right? those angles that were traced out are still there, right? The current, it's right here. So but if I put it along where those parts where I outline them out, right? Then they would it would match. Okay. I can't give you an orthographic view because the ledge is pretty long and the wall back here is too short. I don't have enough distance. It's only, what, 5 feet? And it's a 10-foot ledge, so I'd have to go back at least 10 feet just to be able to show it to you. Anywho, and I know that you have a disdain about Muppet vision. Anyway, so the angles hit different points, just basically going along the surface of the ledge and up as high as the vehicle itself. Alright, well, you can call it rambling, you can call it whatever you want. Either way, I've been the Bearded Devil. Thanks for watching. One last thing. Flat Earthers, which of these angles is supposed to be the critical angle? Which one's supposed to be the occultation angle? Which one's supposed to be the limited angle? Which one of them is supposed to be the special angle, the magical angle that causes things to disappear from the bottom up? Inquiring minds would like to know.